Alright, so this is a new method of charting that I've been using, and it's working pretty well for me. So I've tried log scale and not using log scale, and I find that it works best not using log scale. So make sure that you're not in log scale. I think by default you're not. Just make sure that that's ticked off. So what we're going to do, it's the third tool down from the top, the very bottom. It's called Fib Channel. So we're going to go from the bottommost point right here. We're going to come to the top, and we're going to come down to the bottom. And you can see already how well price is respecting these channels right here. It comes down, hits this one perfectly, finds support and resistance, finds support, breaks down, comes up, finds resistance, support, gets topped out right here perfectly. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go backwards. We're going to start from the very end point, and we're going to go to the top point and back where we started, and try to get it to match up as close as possible, because as you get on the smaller time frames, it's going to be important to have these match up. So you can see we've already got quadrants. We've got these little blocks, right? The thing is we don't have any blocks out past this point. So now we're going to create a new one, and we're going to come from the top down to the bottom and move it up here. And what we want to do is match it up. We're going to try to get these lines to match up to other lines. I mean, we can move this out to here, but to me it looks like I get a lot of confluence if I match this gray line with this red line where my cursor's at right now. You can see by doing that we have a channel. You see we find perfect resistance right here, and then we come down, and then you got these channels right here. So, and you can see we still have these quadrants we're working with. Now it can get confusing when you have these multiple fib channels. You can go in and turn off particular channels. So if you wanted to, you could select a certain one, and you could turn on and off certain channels so it's not so overwhelming, or so it's not just too much. But now let's go to the 2 hour here. So you can already see that we're working within, you see, look, we've got a perfect top right here. We got topped out right here. You can see we found support on this line, we found support here, we came up, we found resistance. So we're working within this channel right now, moving down. So let's see if we can find something else. And every time you do this, you might find something different. It's kind of hard to create the same chart, but you know, again, you just try different things to see what you can find. So we're working within this area here. So let's try this zone. Let's go from here to here, back up to here. And let's see if we can find any confluence here. And remember, you can move this. Hold on, let me get the right one. So I could take this and move it wherever I want, but I do want lines to match up. So for instance, trying to find a line where I can match it. Alright, so I'm matching, you can see this line right here, this one, I'm trying to match with this gray line. You want to make sure that all the lines match up. So you got a perfect zone in here, drops straight down to this one, comes up. You can see prices respecting each one of these. So now we've got more quadrants to work with here. You can see prices getting rejected here, it's moving back down. So if you want, let's go down to the 1 hour, and let's see if we can find something within one of these little zones right here. And actually, let me do one backwards. Let's go back. Let's go from here to here. Let's see what we can find there. So this gives you potential tops and bottoms as well. You got topped out here, you got topped out there. So basically you're mapping out all of these potential bottoms and tops. So let's create another one, and let's go from here to here. Make sure you follow the lines. Alright, that gives you perfect support that we're finding right now. You see, we're finding perfect support on this line right here. So potentially when you break support here, you're going to come down and find a zone down here where you're going to find support. And if you move up, you've got your tops here, potentially here and here. So if you have one of these major moves going up, you know, when it stops, you know, this could potentially be a point where it could be a top. And it also shows you trajectories that you're following. I mean, it looks like right now that we are in something like this. So, I mean, this can help you find a pattern that you're in. Not necessarily that we have to be in that, but you can already see that just from drawing this. And you could take it up to here, because this looks like it got topped out right there. So this could be something like that. Hold on. Kind of hard to get your mouse on these. So we could potentially be in that right there. We'll come down, touch the bottom of this, potentially move back up. Or we could be following in a channel. It could be something more like this. If I can get my cursor on this. You could be in a channel like this. And we're coming down to test the bottom of it, potentially move back up. But if we continue down, you know, we haven't created a support, so it'd be interesting to see if this comes all the way down and touches this line. You can see we're finding support on something here. So let's see if we can find, let me get rid of these, and let me see if I can find something that's showing us our support here. So let's create another fib channel. Just out of curiosity, let's just go from here to here. Look, you got perfect support now. You came down, you hit this line, came back up, found support on this one, moved up to this one, you found support here. This one didn't come all the way down to here. But again, that's what's so great about this is you can find your tops and your bottoms, and you can get as detailed as you want. I mean, you can go crazy. Obviously, it would get a little confusing if you went, you know, if you just went down to the 5-minute time frame, you'd have all these lines on top of lines. But use the lines that you want to use, and you know, if you don't really need one, then get rid of it. But I do think that it is very helpful for finding these bottoms. When you come down, you know where a potential target is. And just moving right back up to this one. Let's see where it stops at. Well, while it's making up its mind what it's going to do, now here's the other great thing. So let's say that you're in a different quadrant. Let's say that this just comes straight down, and you start working within this section right here, right? So you could actually create a new fib channel. Actually, I'm going to do it the other way. Hold on. So you could work, so if you come down in here, you already have your potential targets within this zone. And if you pull this back all the way to here, look how well it matches price. And let's go to 30 minutes so we can really zoom in and see how this is working. You got resistance, you got your support, didn't make it all the way down, came up, found resistance, found support, resistance, came down, So when you break down and you come down and you stop on a certain line and starts moving back up, you know you just found your support level. And you can tell that also because you have a lot of support on this line right here. So you can imagine that if it drops down, you know, it could drop down to this line. There's a lot of resistance right here. So potentially when it drops down, you could potentially find support right here, which would be the same line right here. The next strong support would be right here. You don't have much support here or here, so potentially if it drops down, your next strong support below that would be right here around 7,745. And then, yeah, basically if you move up, so if we move up, you know, and it's up to you if you want to remove some of these smaller ones. If you're swing trading on the smaller time frames, then you want to have these smaller fib channels to get perfect bottoms. Let's see. It came down to this green line and started moving back up. But let's say so we've already got potential tops. You got topped out here, you got topped out here. But let's say that you're up in this zone now. Let's say that all of a sudden we had a spike up, and let's say that if we were in this zone here, so you could create another channel. And now within this quadrant right here, you have potential targets when you move up, and then it's up to you if you want to. Let's say if you're working in this area, you could create a channel like this, and then potentially have, you know, more precise targets where you would hit for tops and bottoms. I like to go to some previous price action and kind of show you how well these match up. So this, let's just deal with this quadrant right here, and this is what I'm talking about. You see these two lines? They're not perfectly they're not perfectly aligned. That's why you have this little section right here. We got two lines, but let's just do the same thing. Let's go from here to here to here, and look how perfectly price respects each one of these. Comes down, resistance, support, comes down to this one, comes down to this one. And again, when you create it, if you want to have lines going the other way, you just do the opposite. And now you have your zones, your channels, you know, going up and down. So you can see you're working within these channels, going this way, and you're working with these channels. And then if you want to go down to the 5 minute and get totally crazy, you can do that. It gets a little bit much. Hold on, it's kind of hard to find where we're at. Alright, hold on. Let's see what we can find right here. I'm going to create a channel. Let's go like this. So you can see the power of this just for finding your potential bottom points. It dropped down and moved back up, found support on this one, got rejected perfectly, came back up, you got topped out here, broke down below. So basically you're mapping out all of the possible targets using this way of charting. And like I said, it's quadrants, they're zones, so you can, you know, when you're out of this area, just to make it a little less, you know, you can remove some of these if you're in a different zone. But basically, yeah, go crazy, see what you can find. But for me, it helps me not FOMO in because we can see that this line right here is giving us a lot of resistance. I mean, every time we come up, we get rejected. We happen to come up, we found support on it, we came below it, we got resistance. We wicked above it, but we came right back down. So it kind of helps you map out and kind of know, okay, well, it's starting to move up. Well, let's wait and see what happens and see if it comes back down, because you can already see this is strong support. And, you know, you have strong support here as well. So this would be a potential a line to watch. So if you moved up and you broke above this this line that's giving you resistance, your next strong support would be potentially both of these lines. So if you pushed up, potentially you could hit 9,761 or 9,882 before you start coming back down. And then your ultimate top, if you follow this trend line, you see we got topped out here, you got topped out there. So if we did move up and we made a higher high, you could potentially get topped out at this line, and if you made a higher high, you get topped out right here. And then of course this is where you can extend these back, and these would give you more targets to the upside. So it's just an interesting way to actually chart and find these tops and bottoms. I would like to see if we can find this top right here. Let me pull this back. Actually, I'm just going to delete that one. I want to see if I can find this top right here. So I'm going to create one from here to here. Yeah, there you go. And that gives you your top right there. We came up. This is also a line we were respecting. And you came up, you got topped out right here. And let's go to the 5 minute and see how price is respecting. So you came down, you found support, you moved up. You came down, you found support, you moved up again. It wicked down to here, came back up to here. You came down, it wicked down to here, you came back up for support. So this is an excellent way to actually find those potential tops. So when it goes straight up and stops at a particular line, you're not just stopping in no man's land, in limbo. If it stopped right here, you don't really know what's going to happen. But if it stops right at this line, well, you're pretty much topped out. It's going to retrace back down, and then when it retraces back down, and you hit a certain line, and it starts moving back up, well, you found your support, and you can go up and down. And of course, adding in the RSI and the MACD, I think would also help. So you have an idea. We're on the 5 minute. If you're trading on the 5 minute, that would be helpful. You might want to trade on the 30 minute, and if you're on the 30 minute, that might be a little bit much. Well, actually not. But again, this is a great way to find tops and bottoms and just channels that you're following. And then again, you just move from one quadrant to the next and just go crazy and see what you can find. The other thing is for fib circles. We're on the 30 minute. Let me go to the 1 hour. Every single one of these intersecting points is going to be a point where you can create a fib circle. So you have so many options to create fib circles, but the great thing is, no matter where you place a fib circle, as long as you go from one point to another point, that fib circle is going to be completely accurate. And I can show you this. Let me create a fib circle here. And let's just find a random point. Let's just go from here to here. So look how well price respects this fib circle. It encompasses completely. You got a pivot right here, comes down, comes up at resistance, support, resistance, gets support, resistance, support, falls through, comes down, works with this one, broke through, came back up. You can see that we got topped out here, came down, perfect support, resistance. So that's the other thing. Once you have this chart set up, take these fib circles, copy them, paste them into another chart. And maybe you want to hide it just so you can try another one and see if you can get something closer to current price action. Let's see if we can find that. And again, this is on the fly. I don't know what I can find. I'm going to find something that's more at an angle. Let's see what I can find here. Alright, well that looks interesting. you can see price has been respecting this fib circle, so it'd be interesting to see price comes back up right up into this ring. So let's go to the 30-minute. So price came down, and you see this was resistance. Price came down as support. It went up, it came back down, found perfect support on this ring, and now we're breaking down below this ring. So does it come back up and stay in this ring, or does it continue down and potentially hit this point, or come down further and touch the bottom of this ring? But that is a great thing about this. You can use any one of these points. I've been playing around with just going from line to line. You could find some confluence if you went diagonal, like we go from this point to this point. It's still going to match up. Let me get rid of this just so we can see how well it matches. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter how you set these up. Obviously you could find, if you work at it, you can find certain points that's going to give you a fib circle that's going to work better with price. But with this one, you can see we came up, we went above it, came back down. We went above this one, we came back down. It's actually working with this one pretty well. You see it's coming back up right now. But you found support on this, it wicked down right to this one. So in conjunction, using fib channels to chart, and then using individual intersecting points to create your fib circles, you can find potential pivot points as well as resistance and support. Let me see if I can find one more before I move on to Ethereum. Yeah, and you could get crazy with this where it'd be just way too much, but I like to play around with and see what I can find. But yeah, it looks like it's coming right back up to this ring. So anyways, this is how I create these charts. Play around with it, see what you can find. I would create one chart, and then I would start over, create another chart. And then when you find a certain quadrant with these fib channels, and this one, you do want to make sure they line up. Actually, it lines up pretty good. And remember, you can bring these all the way down. You might find confluence further down. But anyways, that's how I create these charts. I'd play around with it. Let me show you how I would do it for Ethereum. Okay, so with Ethereum, basically we're going to do the same thing. You can try and go from the top point down to the bottom point up here. It can give you more channels to work with. Starting out, I would probably go from a low point to a high point and see what you can find. So let's do the same thing. Let's go from our lowest point here to the top, down to the bottom. And you could adjust it. I mean, you go with what matches up, but you know, since we have a bottom point, I'm just going to go with that for now. And let's go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to do it the reverse. We're going to go back and come down to the bottom. You can see how price seems to be respecting each one of these channels, these quadrants. And so we have more lines going this way. Let's zoom in a bit. Now we're going to create one from the top. And again, I'm doing this kind of fast, but I would suggest matching these up as accurately as possible. And let's bring this up and see if we can find something that matches. And even if you are trying to get it to match, but it's important to match up the lines. So I'm matching up this gray line with this yellow line, because it also matches up with this price right here. See where we got rejected? Right here. So in the last one, so let me go ahead and create some fib circles on the larger time frame and see what we can find, and then we'll go into the smaller time frame. So let's just, out of curiosity, let's create a fib circle from here to here. And let's just see how accurate this is. See, you find support on it, it pivots down to it, comes up, it pivots down, you get a perfect pivot here, you get a pivot there. I mean, I wouldn't call that much of a pivot, but I guarantee you that this ring is going to play a role when you get to it. But I would like to find something with current price action. Hold on. Wow, you get some spikes right there. And look how well price respects this. It comes down, that's a pivot to go sideways. It comes down, as soon as it hits this ring, it moves up. Hits this one, moves up, comes down, finds perfect support on it. Comes up, finds support. So working with these center rings, you get topped out right on this one. And as soon as you hit this one, you have a spike down. And as soon as you hit this one, you get a spike up. So I guarantee you that this fib circle here is going to play a role as well. So that's just one fib circle. Let's see if we can create another one. Let's go from this point down. Let's make this different colors so we can differentiate it from the other. And let's just, I'm going to go to the 2 hours so we can just really see what it's doing. So yeah, as soon as, alright, there we go. Yeah, every single one of these. So by going from point to point within this grid, you know that you have a fib circle that's accurate. I mean, look how well price is respecting this. I mean, it comes up, it's working with this white one, finds support on it, support, comes up, finds resistance. As soon as it hits it, it moves up it. This is the white one, you got to pivot. You can see as it crossed over this, it came down and it hit this white one and moved up. And then you can make them on smaller time frames. So we'll make this one blue. I'm not going to do too many. I'm just showing you how to do this. I suggest you start from scratch and just see what you can find. But let's see if we can make something a little smaller. I'm going to pick a random point. I'm going to go from here to here. See what we can find. Actually, let's try this. Oh wow, look how let me make this one a different color here. So look how well price is respecting this one. You find some it's respecting this ring, comes down. It finds support on this ring going all the way up to here. Actually, you can see that we dropped down to this point, came up, got topped out at this line, found perfect support on this blue ring, and now we're caught between this blue ring and this red line here before potentially we go up or we go down. And if we go up, you have a potential target here or a target here, and then it's up to you if you want to, you know, go into smaller time frames and try to find a fib channel for that quadrant. Let me hide these. We'll put them up later. So we have a quadrant. Well, let me go to the smaller time frame. So let's just say we're working with this quadrant right here. Let's see what we can find with a fib channel. So let's just go from here to here. And you can drag this out. You can just pull this up here. Just make sure that you match the lines so you can extend it out. That way you can go further up. But it looks like price is respecting that pretty well. And if we pull this up, hold on. I mean, it's up to you if you want to adjust it. Again, I would like to match a line, and I don't really have any lines to match it up with doing this. Actually, I do. This line right here, you can match up with this gray line. Just make sure you get it right on it. And that right there, that gives you perfect support, perfect support. And then if we wanted to, we could do a quadrant right inside of here. And there you go. You've got your perfect bottoms. Look how well price is respecting this. As soon as it drops down, comes right to this point, comes down here, comes back up, finds support, moves all the way up. You see it wicked all the way up here, came back down, moved back up, wicked back down to this point. So you can see the power of this. So when I created this one, let me do one the opposite way and see what we can find. So there you have channels you're working with going multiple directions. You've got your channel you're working with going this way and your channel going this way. Let's see if we can find something just within this section here. So I'm going to create one from here, come back, and you can come back as far as you want as long as you match the lines up. And there you go. You have your point you wicked up, you came back down to here, you got topped out here, you got your support, your resistance up here, you got perfect, this red line right here, perfect resistance. So potentially you come back down and you hit this point. And if you want to get crazy, you can go down to the, well, let me go to the 30-minute. So if you wanted to get, really on the small time frame, actually, let's get really crazy with this. Let's go to the 5-minute. So we got a quadrant right here we're working with. It stopped right at this point. Let's see if we can find out why. So and again, this is what I'm saying, you want to match these up as accurately as possible so you have a definite point to choose from. But for now, we'll just come from here to here and to here. And look at that. You got perfect support and resistance. It wicked right down to here, came right back up. Every single one of these are potential support and resistance. So if you're swing trading, on the smaller time frame, you have targets. Every single one of these is your targets. Same with going up. And then again, like I was saying, if you want to go in a different quadrant, just when you start moving up, if you want, and I'm going to save this. Let me go to the 30-minute. Once you get into another area, if we start moving sideways and we're in this quadrant right here, the same thing. Just create a brand new fib channel coming down here, and now you have your potential targets in here to play with. So that's just how you can use this to find your tops and bottoms. It works great. If all of a sudden you see a spike and you see one of these wicks and it comes down, chances are if it's right at one of these lines, that'd be a sell point. It comes back down, it wicks below this, starts moving up, that's a potential buy point. It comes up, you see it start wicking, comes back down, that'd be a sell point. It stops at this line, starts coming back up, that'd be a buy point. And you've already have one top here. You can see this is previously support and resistance, so you know that this was strong resistance. It comes down, you got your buy point, you got your sell point. And then if you want to go on the smaller time frames, you can map out every single one of these. It depends on how detailed you want to get. If you want to really go into detail in the 5-minute, or if you play the 1 day or the 1 hour, you don't need to get that detailed with it. But it is fun to see what you can find. And then on top of that, just creating these fib circles using these actual points, you can just find some amazing confluence. Let's see what we can find here. I'm going to find something that's matching current price. Actually make this white so you can see it. And again, go to the next line. Just try different lines, see what you can find. And if you have to, move it out further. You can come all the way up to here. Actually, yep, that matches the line. Doesn't really give me a pivot. Alright, I do like that one. And you can see, because we went from a particular point to a particular point that matches the entire grid, so that's why each one of these quadrants needs to match the grid from the original structure. But once you do that, you get a pivot, you go up, you get a pivot sideways. As soon as it hits this, it pivots up, you find perfect resistance, you find support, perfect support on this ring. You can see we are finding support in these rings. It comes down, falls right to this line, comes back down, you find resistance. As soon as it breaks up above this, as soon as it breaks above this ring, shoots straight up. And now you can see that we're moving up. So if we come back down, we can find support, so we can move up this ring if potentially something happens. But guys, this is just, I just want to show you this way of charting. Again, have fun, go crazy with it. I'd love to see what you come up with. Please share with me. My email address will be in the description of this video. But yeah, that's what I've been playing around with, and like I said, it's great for finding those those targets. So you know, when you start feeling a little FOMO-ish, you know, and you see price start going up, and all of a sudden it gets stopped out right here, you know this coming back down, so you don't have to think, oh well, it might go higher. No, it's not. It's going to get stopped out right here. And if it comes up to this point and stops, okay, well there's your sell point, because it's going to come back down. But yeah, that's it for the tutorial on this. I would be playing around with this more and seeing what I can find. I'm probably adding fib channels to it as well, and doing more work with finding fib circles confluence. But that is how to chart using